Hi, welcome back for part two of my final project here. I'm Grant Moore alongside,
Kevon Belcher, the sports director of WHIZ News.
and Kevon talked to Stephen last week about kind of the future of sports journalism, broadcasting in the future years. So, what's your thoughts on, with ESPN, they're having more of a debate style
Yeah.
anymore than just highlights. What's your thoughts on, is this a sustainable in future years for sports journalism in small market?
I would have to say that it's definitely something that we have to take a look into. I mean, it's a little bit of a tug and pull thing right now going on, especially with small market media going on. Sports has always been a debate thing. Everybody always loves to go by the water cooler
Right.
and talk
Right,
about what
yeah.
LeBron James did
Yeah.
yesterday or whatever it is. But a lot of people in news media think that sports is dying as far as a broadcasting journalism thing. So if you ask some people, it's a dying breed. To some, they think it's just not beginning. I mean, especially with podcasts and things like
Yeah.
that, it's definitely something that's growing. You feel like you can just anybody can pick up their phone and just say anything about sports, put it on TikTok or something like that, and it'll be that. So
Gets followers, gains
yeah,
views.
exactly. So I mean, you're always it's really just whoever you ask. Me personally, I think that it still is a thing that everybody still loves. Nobody, if you're a grown man or anything like that, just wants to sit at home and watch something. You're more than likely going to turn on some sports stuff. So I think it's still something that's going to be here to stay.
So, just like you said with podcasts, and anybody can just get on their phone and just film their hot takes or whatever they got. So, where do you see this in the next 5 to 10 years? Do you see it phasing out, or do you see it changing?
I think that there's always going to be something new. I don't know if it will be podcasting in 5 years, but I don't see it going away anytime soon as of right now, especially like with how big YouTube and like I said, TikTok and Instagram and things and stuff like that are. I do think that it might phase out a little bit in news. It's already such a short segment in sports with the news and stuff like that. So it's kind of like I said earlier, just a tug and pull situation. But I don't think anything as far as sports debates or sports podcasts or just being like Colin Cowherd, people like that.
Right, yeah.
They're not. I don't think they're going anywhere.
No.
People are paying too much money just to hear what they have to say, and people listen.
Yeah, I mean, you see that a lot on ESPN and FS1.
Right.
That's about all they do
Yeah.
anymore. So, what challenges do small market reporters, sports reporters, have today that those higher networks don't have?
Well, I can definitely say that we don't have the type of money that they
Right,
have,
yeah.
obviously. I believe that it all starts with how much, I wouldn't say how much they care, but it's more or less how much can we provide for you. I mean, even in a small market like here, you're only getting so many people that can go out and do sports. I mean, me and Steven are basically all there is right now.
Right.
I mean, with you and Ty that are helping, it's kind of like we got all these people in news, and then it's like, okay, we can give you a little bit in sports. And it's when it goes to people like ESPN, FS1, CBS, and stuff like that, they know that they're getting paid mostly because of their sports, so they
Right.
have to put more into that. And the more you put into it, the more you get out of it.
So you kind of look at not just TV, there's radio, there's newspapers, and just like you said with podcasting, Steven said last week that he kind of thinks that podcasting will almost take over for radio. Do
Yeah.
you see that happening too?
I definitely agree with that, especially with how much I think that radio is getting tuned out. I mean, most of the time, most people, I mean, outside of like the older generation, you're barely hearing the radio as is because everybody's connecting their phone to their car and they're like, okay, well, I'm gonna listen.
Bluetooth, that's a big thing
Exactly.
in-
I'm
yeah.
gonna listen to my own podcast that I like to listen to, or I might listen to my own music or anything like that. Or I mean, shoot, you might be even playing a game. I mean, not playing a game, but listen to a game
Right,
over
yeah.
over your phone. And I mean, you got things like ESPN's app, FS1's app, CBS, especially like with the time right now, March Madness is so big. You're probably playing March Madness, the March Madness app, and it's just going through your car.
Right.
You're barely probably ever listen to the radio. I mean, Ohio State Buckeyes, their radio is really not as big as what it used to be, but I mean,
that does get some help from ESPN
Right.
airing those radio
Exactly.
networks. So you kind of look at that. ESPN's kind of taken over for almost everybody.
Yeah.
So you kind of think of an AM 1240.
Right.
Is that more of a podcast you believe in the next 5-10 years, or do you think it's longer than that?
I think that if they want to keep the viewers as high as it will transition.
Okay.
I think that it needs to. Me personally, people like to hear other people's opinions, like it or not. I mean,
Right.
whether it's a negative thing or a positive thing, if I hear Colin Cowherd say, you know, Ohio State sucks, I'm going to want to hear it. I might not agree with him. I might want to be like, hey, listen, he's tripping. He's
Yeah.
not. He's saying something that's too crazy. But I'm going to still listen to him because I want to know what he has to say about it. And I feel like with most of these podcasts, that's what it is. They're just people are just wanting to know what other people are thinking.
And really, with those ESPN style shows like First Take, I mean, that's the biggest example
Yeah.
of it. If Stephen A. Smith says something that is just so outlandish,
Exactly.
still think about how many views it
Yeah.
gets.
Yeah.
I get social media; it's just all over YouTube. It's all over
And
the place.
that's exactly how it kind of became a big thing. I mean, even with Skip Bayless, that's how they really got
Right,
how it
yeah.
got into their brand because they're saying outlandish stuff.
So you kind of think of YouTube. I mean, you think Pat McAfee,
Yeah.
biggest example of
Yeah.
guy that started on YouTube, and now he's on the biggest sports network in America. So do you see YouTube or any social media content creators filling that role of a sports reporter in the future? Do you see that becoming more of a thing? Because I do see that on YouTube more often than not. There's own content creators doing their own stuff.
Yeah.
Do you see that kind of taking over small market news journalism in the future?
I don't know if podcasting and the people in that world more or less are trying to make it more national things. I don't think that if you become something huge in podcasting or on YouTube or things like that, you're not really looking to the small market things. You won't sit there and see like how I just talked to you about going to a pickleball story.
Right,
I mean,
right.
You're not going to see that on a YouTube page or a podcast. I mean, you might try to toss it in there a couple times, but you're not really going to see much about that. So I don't really think they're going to take over as far as with the small markets. Now, nationally, I mean, you got, like you said, Pat McAfee just went from YouTube to where he was on the sideline, and I was seeing him do his sideline
Pretty much
broadcasting
every Saturday.
every Saturday. And
Right.
but he was making tons and tons of views because people, again, want to hear what he has to say about the game that he's at. And that might take over for bigger games, big national games and things like that. But I don't know. I don't believe that it'll take over for small market.
So say if somebody does start a YouTube channel about, I mean, football is the biggest thing
Yeah.
that happens in the sports market here in
Yeah.
Zanesville. So say if someone does start a YouTube channel about the MVL, LCL, all those in the area, do you see that being a sustainable thing?
Come to think of it, I mean, with how much the following of Zanesville, because I think of how much this city cares about their own town, I could see that. I mean, if somebody started an MVL only YouTube page, I think that probably could truthfully take over the sports market here in Zanesville.
Really?
I
Okay.
think that it could possibly. The upside is definitely there. I mean.
The potential is higher
The potential,
than the
exactly. And I don't know how low the floor is. I mean, you definitely could.
That's a good point. You don't know how high the ceiling is.
Exactly.
You don't know how low the floor is.
And I mean, I don't think it will grow outside of Zanesville, but it definitely could put you on the map if you were, say, like I said, were to go from a small market to try to get yourself into a bigger market. And if people see, okay, he has his own podcast, he has all these followers from Zanesville, and now he's getting more attraction. And I think that, truthfully, if somebody was to get into that area to where it's open to everybody and enough people are talking about it, it can definitely become something.
Because you kind of think of storied rivals.
Right.
And how, little that was 10 years ago.
Exactly.
And now it's everywhere. Columbus, this
Definitely.
area. So kind of transitioning from that now, streaming services have been on the rise since probably
Yeah.
COVID, I would say.
Right.
So do you see streaming services kind of overtaking cable networks and sports journalism?
Yeah. I am a big streaming guy. I love to sit. I don't really watch much cable anymore, and I used to be a big person that used to be on TV a lot. That used to watch TV a lot, I should say. And I would say they make it a little too difficult to make it as a only option type of thing. I mean, I think more people would just go towards that just to get the free stuff. I mean, you see pay-per-views and things like that. Cable is kind of becoming a little too difficult to pay for, and streaming is just there.
Getting easier.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of give or take, and I don't think that people really care for the cable because nobody's home anymore.
Right.
I mean,
right.
if you're at home, you're watching like I said, your podcast, your whatever you want to watch, and that can be seen on Hulu, on YouTube,
and with Netflix
like
taking NFL, yeah. So do you see, WHIZ is Fox and NBC affiliated. Do you see a Peacock taking over for that NBC role? Do you see WHIZ being a streaming service through Peacock?
I think that within this city, not many people are gearing towards the streaming service. So I would say nationally, streaming is becoming bigger, but locally, here, I should say, it is not. I don't think that this is going anywhere.
Okay.
I don't think that the people of Zanesville really want to take away from what they believe they're going to get from these local stories. I mean, they care about, like I said, they care about their city. I mean, more than any other city that I truthfully have been a part of, they want to know what's going on, and they only care about what's going on here.
So when you say that, you haven't seen a city that cares a lot about. So what kind of brought you to Zanesville? I know you're a Columbus guy. So what kind of brought you to southeastern Ohio?
I would say a job opportunity. I would say that, Zanesville offers more than meets the eye, obviously. I mean, I've been here for 3 years. And honestly, it was just a chance to get myself in the door. I mean, especially when I graduated, it was towards the COVID start, and not many people were hiring back then. I mean, people were like, we're interested, but we can't really get new people in, especially with all the masks and stuff like that.
Right.
So I mean, it was just an opportunity that was presented to me, and it was close to home. It was only about a 45-minute drive from me, so it was kind of like, Columbus is a very big step as my first job. So Zanesville was more or less okay, let me check this out. Let me see if I actually do like this. Let me see if I really want to be on TV and if I really enjoy this like I thought I would. And I'm still here.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously enjoyed a good bit, but there's also the side of the community Stephen said it best last week, can't please everybody.
Right.
So what are some of the challenges that you individually face trying to get those stories? Just like today you mentioned, went to a pickleball.
Yeah.
So, we're in that weird phase between basketball and baseball and soon to be in the summertime. So what's kind of the challenges you faced when you're trying to find a story?
I would say that everybody thinks that they have a story. That's the main issue. But the problem is, though everybody has a story, it depends on if everybody wants to hear your story. If you ask me, if you come to me with a story and it's really worth it, I'm going to do my best to be there. And, if I can't be there, somebody else will try to be there. But I think that the community likes what they like, and they're very stubborn on what they like. I mean, truthfully, that's not really a bad thing, but because it lets you know, okay, what you can do, what you should push, and what is going to bring more eyeballs to what you have to say. But if somebody's telling me, they're calling me like, hey, listen, my 5-year-old kid just threw a football 50 yards. I don't really.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
There's not much of a story there.
Right. Like I said, everybody just thinks that they have a story, and that's kind of the issue of what being in a small market thing is, because everybody wants their story told, and I mean, I get that, but it's not always in our interest to go after that story. And with how much little manpower we have, it's kind of difficult
You're right.
to always get through to everybody's liking.
So you mentioned that everybody's liking, and you've mentioned it's just you and Steven during the football season. It's
Yeah.
just you two guys, and you kind of face some backlash for when you're only able to get to, say, if there was a Tri-Valley versus Sheridan for the
Yeah.
NBO title, probably got to get that game over Crooksville versus New Lex. But then you're facing that those Crooksville fans like, why aren't you getting our show?
Yeah.
So, what's kind of that challenge that you have with the community when it comes to things like that?
I think that everybody loves to see when it's their time. They love to see it, but when it's not, it's kind of a disheartening thing. I mean, truth be told, I remember when I think this was probably your first year interning with us when we did the West Muskingum.
Oh yeah.
The West
Yeah, I
Muskingum
remember that one.
behind, basically, like a behind the scenes type of thing of
Right.
their entire
Hard knock style, yeah.
Hard knock style of like basically what it was like for them to start their camp all the way up until the beginning of the season. And you remember what it was like. It was hard-working days.
Yes.
3-hour days of going, listening to all the coaches talk, having to record that, edit that, get writing, and still go back and do something else. And I mean, personally, to edit all that, to do all that, and then to have to come back, have that air, which was a big thing. I mean, we got so much love from that. Everybody then started turning around like, okay, West Muskingum did it. What about us?
Right.
And I still, to this day, that was 2 years ago, I still to this day get asked about, okay, so when's the next Hard Knocks type of high school thing?
Right.
And they ask me that all the time. I'm like, listen, that was a beautiful thing. I worked my butt off. I created that. I wanted that to be seen to the public, but I don't think I could do that
Right.
anymore. I mean, that was too draining, especially with the manpower that we have. And now everybody's upset, like, oh, so you only did one thing, it's on West Muskingum.
Right. And
And-
especially at the time,
Yeah,
West Muskingum was having a lot of eyes
Right,
on it.
exactly.
When that schedule released, there was a lot of backlash you guys faced.
and I think a lot of stuff is, I don't want to say people are dumb or anything like that.
Right,
Obviously not, but some people are ignorant to what we have control of and what we are allowed to do. I mean, they may see the whole game of the week thing, and that has nothing to do with us.
Right.
We don't control that, but they think, oh, it's on WHAZ News on Saturday morning, so they must control that. No,
Right.
it's a completely different entity of us, and we have nothing to do with that. But we try to make and do everything that we can in our power to make everybody happy as much as we can, but we can't please everyone, like
Right.
Steven said. And again, we are a viewing business. If people see Zanesville's 0-9, they're not probably going to care about if they go 0-10. I mean, truthfully, they probably are going to care about if Sheridan is playing Tri-Valley, like you said, or if New Lexington is playing West Muskingum for
Right.
the NVL title.
Yeah.
We have to do what's best for us and what's best to get us more people to put their eyeballs on our screen.
And that's important for you guys too, because
Right.
you guys need bigger networks seeing your
Yeah.
stuff, so that they
Exactly.
know, like, okay, when's their contract? Right? Okay, in a couple years, let's try to get them on.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that, like you said, not that they're dumb, but they just don't know the behind the scenes all
Right.
the way. So that is a big challenge. So it's talking about challenges, the rise of AI. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
AI is pretty much, it's here. Like, there's no future of AI. It's here. So when you kind of think about, you have to write a lot of scripts
Yeah.
for all these games. So do you see yourself, I asked Steven last week, do you see yourself using AI to help you with any scripts at all? Or do you think AI is a tool that a lot of sports reporters use now or sometime in the future?
I don't know if I personally will be using that. I am very particular of how I like things written. I do not like reading other people's words because, I mean, other people don't really know your style, your flow. I mean, you can be with somebody for so long, and even now to this day, if Steven wrote something for me right now, there might be times where I'll look at him like, okay, that's not how I would say it, but that's how he would write it.
Right.
And I feel like AI is kind of like more of a article type of thing. I don't know if I could use it for TV, but maybe possibly for if I'm writing a story and putting it on the news website or something like that.
Yeah, I understand that.
But I don't think that it would mainly take over for something like that.
Because you write how you talk.
Right.
That's, I mean, just Steven, when he does his anchoring for sports, he talks slower. You're more of that mid-pace.
Right.
So do you see AI having any role for a small market? I'm sure in the big market there it has some sort of role, but in the small market, do you see it having a place anywhere next 5-10 years?
I mean, it's possible. Anything is possible. I mean, everything, we're always trying to grow and stay as close as we can with the higher networks. And if that's what they're doing, I mean, we may take a glance at it, but I think it's more or less what people are comfortable with. I mean, if you're somebody that's been doing this for, like Carolyn, for 15, 20 years, she's probably not going to like the AI stuff. I mean, granted, other people write her stuff, but she knows how to tweak it. She knows how to, okay, I'm going to put a comma there.
She knows how to fit her cadence.
Exactly.
Right.
And with AI, if I ask Siri to write me a script right now, is Siri going to write it the way I like it, or is she going to write it the same way that, Stephen A. or somebody is going to want it? So we'll have to see about that. I don't know how much of a takeover they would do in a small market size.
I understand that. I mean, that makes a lot of sense because...
See? There we go. Siri.
Perfect timing, really.
Right?
But, there is a lot of challenges that small market sports reporters face.
Oh, yeah.
So what's kind of your advice to anybody in the future that wants to do this?
I think that, for one, you have to know that you really want to be in this space. It is very difficult to be in this space, especially at a younger age. I came into this when I was, I believe, 23, maybe. I might be dating myself a little bit more. But when you get into this space, it's a lot of pressure, like I said, to please everyone. And you can't feel like you have to do that. I learned that very quickly my first year here. Doing things for other people is very challenging, especially when you're trying to do that and then do it to a standard that you're going to be happy with. Know that you want to do that. Secondly, I would say you have to make connections with as many people as you can as far as others that are in this space. You don't want to stay in the same spot forever unless you want to be there for forever.
Right.
Me personally, I don't want to be in Zanesville for forever.
And I think that's something you want to grow and do stuff.
And I have so many connections as far as branched out from here to LA to Columbus to Texas. And these people are people that they want you to grow. They want you to be as good as they are because they want you to be the best person that you can be on TV. And I feel like if you surround yourself with those type of people, that it can definitely elevate you. There are a lot of people that can sit there and critique you, and you might take that as a criticism, and really they're just trying to make you better. And I feel like that's something that everybody should be able to take part in. And as I said, the younger you are at this business, the longer it may take. I mean, like I said, been here 3 years. Most people don't stay more than 2 to 5. And I know that a lot of people may try to shy you away from that, but if you keep going towards the one goal and you keep steady, you're going to be fine.
So as you talk about you're going to be fine, and I do agree with that because you do want to grow, you want to do better. But, we've been talking about the future a lot. Say another 10, 15 years, do you still see small markets, sports reporters being a viable job, a viable way to make money?
I surely hope so. I think that as long as sports is as big as it is now in the world, where it's getting tons of market, tons of views, tons of everything, and everybody cares about it. As long as people care about it, it's always going to be something. Now, do I know if WHIZ will be sitting here paying tons of money like everybody else? I don't know. I mean, I'm a guy that lives in Columbus that's living on the Zanesville salary, and that's not always the best thing.
Not very conducive.
Right. And it's not, something that I would prefer.
Right.
I would not say that's something that I would say you should go and do. I mean, it's very difficult to do that, but I think it's sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're trying to be Stephen A. Smith or something like that. If you're looking to be like some big time big shot, I would not say that. This is a job that you're going to put in long hours. You're going to sit there and grind until you get to the highest level that you can, and then you're going to try to expand to basically start over. I mean, it's a stepping stone everywhere you go. I mean, if I go from now, where I'm sports director, to the Columbus, I'm probably starting from where I started when I got here.
Right.
And it will be there's always a transition all the way up until you reach the top. And I mean, who knows if I even get there?
Right, exactly. I mean, that's great. That great point. And one final question, just in a small market news, all the way around, news, weather, all that. Do you think that small market news stations, radio, TV, whatever it is, like AM 1240, this, Z92, all of it, do you think it's always going to have that financial security to stay around? Just like you said, you don't know if WHIZ can pay what Columbus pays. But as we get farther and farther into this digital age, do you think it can have that financial security to stay here?
Maybe not for me.
Well, sure, yes.
Maybe not for my liking. I don't know. I don't think that WHIZ News is going anywhere.
Okay.
I don't think that this will get pushed up by anybody because, like I said, this town is very different compared to any other town that I've been a part of. But I will say that it may become more challenging. It's this whole entire economy is more it's based off of everything else. I mean, it's if food is getting up to $20 that we have to pay, you're going to probably have to pay somebody more than $12 or $13 an hour just to let them be able to live and stuff like that. So it's more or less, are you going to go with the rise in demand of everything else or not? And I think that WHIZ will probably do that. I don't see them shying away from I don't want to say too much, but I will say
I
that
understand, yeah.
It is a sustainable thing here. There's enough money to be handed around to make everybody happy.
Okay.
So as long as people are happy, we should be okay.
Well, I appreciate it very much for taking the time. Let the people know if there's anything that you want on social media to just branch yourself out there a little bit.
You guys can follow me on Twitter. I don't even know if my Twitter handle is still Can't Guard Belch, but it's fine. You can just my first and last name is definitely out there. If you type in that, you'll find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and you can follow me there. Don't know if I'll follow back because I do not get on social media that much, but I will definitely. I'm always open to helping anybody that is coming into contact with me. So I mean, you obviously know that.
Absolutely,
so
yeah.
Anybody that's there is looking for help, I'm always there.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.